Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. So here on Invisible Condition, we know that life can be tough sometimes. You know, when you live with a condition that can't be seen on the outside, totally get it. I live with one too. It requires brain surgery every once in a while. Believe me, we've had some interesting times around the Pearson household. We know it can be tough. We also know there is always hope, always hope. So if you are struggling with that and you feel like you've lost your hope, please reach out to me. I don't want anybody to be without hope. This email right here will go to me personally. And so reach out to me, put hope in the big capitals, hope in the subject line, and send it to this email and just tell me, I want to talk to you because nobody should be without hope. So let me know. Let me know. Let's help. Let's do it. Let's stick together, everybody. So, all right. We have a nonprofit that I want to talk about too, our nonprofit side of the show, but we're going to talk about that later. We're going to talk about that later. We're going to get to the guest right now because she's awesome and I can't wait for you to meet her. Wait, there we go. Welcome to live TV, everybody. The button pusher needs to push a different button. There we go. All right. Gaya Stepanian. I'm sorry. Good Lord. Gaya Stepanian. That's the name. Crazy. Gaya Stepanian, that is my guest today. Gaya is awesome. She is an international authority on biomagnetism and earth-based quantum medicine, which we'll get into. Don't worry. You don't have to know what that is. I didn't know what it was either. Gaya helps people reclaim their health when nothing else is working, when nothing else has worked, blending ancient wisdom with modern science. She's the best-selling author of Beyond the White Coat, A Return to Earth's Medicine. Just the title of that book makes me breathe easier. I love that. So welcome Gaya. Let's bring her on the show and get this party started. Gaya, thank you so much for being here. This is going to be fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So before we dive in here, I do have one question that I like to ask everybody that comes on the show. There's no wrong answer. Everybody answers it perfectly every time. On the days that are tough, on the days where maybe things aren't perfect and you're in pain and there's a lot of, maybe it's, you're not doing great, you don't have a good day. How do you still maintain hope?
I mean, I'm not in any kind of physical pain, thankfully. My health-related issues, whether they have been cancers or scoliosis or tendinitis, were resolved long ago. But certainly when I have moments with my clients, right, and I see that they're going through something really difficult, I go back to how through the work of biomagnetism, I've seen such incredible, they seem like miracles. It's science, but they seem like miracles because when science tells you these things are incurable or, there's little hope or you only have this much to live. and yet you've seen time and time again that situation after situation, people with terminal, chronic, incurable genetic conditions are able to overcome their symptoms and are able to overcome their conditions. That's what I hold on to. And that's what I give back to people. It's like, nice. I've seen situations with incredible hardships, and yet people have been able to overcome them. So that's what I like to share with my clients and certainly share with my friends and my family, right? Because sometimes family needs help. Sometimes our friends need help. Yeah. Sometimes we're facing really difficult, challenging situations. And so I think that everything is curable. I've seen it in the last 15 years practicing holistic medicine. So no one's God. We cannot give any kind of promises to people.
Right.
But the probability that we can overcome these, what seem like insurmountable conditions, I've seen happen again and again.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, you gotta be really careful with that C word, right? Cure. You gotta like really careful when you throw that one around. But I totally hear what you're saying, and our co-host, my co-host on the show a couple times a month, her name's Michelle LeBaron, or Michelle Cooling. Actually, she went back to her. She's back to her maiden name, Michelle Cooling. She is amazing, and she's been in that kind of space for about 15 years, and she helps people get rid of conditions, right? Get rid of things. And it's through maybe a little bit different method than you use, but however it works, right? And so yeah, but the mainstream says, oh, that's impossible. You can't cure stuff like that. So you gotta, I don't know. I'm not shy about making people's, opinions, question your beliefs about what you thought was curable and what you thought is not. That's what we're all about around here. So I can't wait to hear more. So yeah. So we're diving into biomagnetism today. Don't worry, everybody, if you don't know what the heck that is, we're going to tell you. By the way, if you're depending on where you're watching, like seriously, this is going to be a mind exploding kind of episode. So if you have questions, or you're like, well, I've never heard that before, what is that about? Drop a comment in the chat on Facebook or YouTube, and we can get back to you and we'll figure it out. Also, this is Gaya's website, and what are people going to find when they go there? By the way, is it pretty all inclusive? They can reach out to you. There's information. What are they going to find?
Yeah, they're going to find opportunities to do healing work, right? So there's opportunities to schedule sessions. There's opportunities to take trainings, because anybody can do this. Anybody can learn to do this. And they're going to find my book. They're going to find some downloadable material. They're going to find therapy magnets, because I use magnets in the work that I do. And my blog, a lot of content, so that they're able to connect through social media and begin to understand what this is all about.
Beautiful. All right. Well, lots to explore there. So scan the QR code anytime during the show. We'll have it up there most of the time. So yeah, this will be good. So let's do it. So you mentioned on your website, experiencing issues with scoliosis, tendinitis, lactose intolerance. Like there's a lot of stuff that you are dealing with. Can you share just a little bit about how those conditions impacted you? Because those are impactful. Like scoliosis is no joke. That's that's a big deal.
Yeah, I injured my back when I had to throw myself off a horse when I was 17, because it was a full gallop. The seat started turning, and I was going to be under the horse. I didn't know how to ride bareback, and so I threw myself off, and I sure enough hit my face, my head. And so my back became an S, a sideways S. And when I went to the chiropractor, they said, well, use a lift into your shoe. It was really uncomfortable, so I never did. And of course, over time, my back just got worse. Yeah, I worried that when I would have kids, if I was going to be able to have them naturally, because the deviation in my back was pretty severe. I would have like a pinching sensation. I couldn't wear tight clothes because it would hurt. And it was just something that I was going to live with, right? When I started 15 years ago receiving biomagnetic sessions, and then I trained as a yogi, my instructor noticed that my back was corrected. I didn't really believe her. And so one day I went to this health fair, and there was a chiropractor there, and he sure enough checked my back, and he's like, you don't have scoliosis. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, your shoulders, your ears, your hips are all even. You don't have scoliosis. And so I started to look at my spine, and I didn't have those, the higher shoulder anymore, or the higher ear, or the higher hip. And it wasn't until maybe 7 years ago, when I had another injury to my back. I flew out of my basement, not my attic. The stair slipped from under me. I flew in the air, hit the 2x4, slammed into the 2x4. It hit it so hard that I bounced to the other side of the opening, and then I had to let myself go. So I ended up going to the urgent care just to have it checked. And in the x-rays, it was clear. The doctor came back to me. She's like, you didn't injure your back. Your back is perfect. So what I did right after that injury, because I thought I had hit my back so hard that I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be paralyzed. I'm going to have nerve damage or something like that. So I got the biggest therapy magnet that I had in the house, and I put it on my back, and I slept with it until I got tired. So I slept with it for a few hours. And in the morning, I had like the tip of a pencil of a bruise. That was it. I got up like nothing was wrong. I should have had a massive bruise. I should have been in severe pain.
Yeah.
Sometimes you bend over and people say, well, I bent over the wrong way. And I had that was not a bend over. That was a slam, a bad slam.
Yeah.
And so the x-ray confirmed that I no longer had scoliosis. And not only that, but that I hadn't injured. I had no inflammation. I had nothing. So
that's insane. That's great. Like, seriously, I mean, I don't know what to do with that. Like, if anybody, like, you all are listening, right? Like this, what would happen if the average person had that happen? They'd be lucky to walk away from that. Like, that's insane. So
I crawled to bed, from the pain. I crawled to my bed. I screamed so loud. My kids were, screaming, going up the stairs, Mama, what's wrong? And all I could say was, bring me my magnet. I could barely breathe from the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you also mentioned, and talk about when we're talking before about the pros and cons of Western medicine, right? Like somebody that goes through that would obviously, go to, the first instinct would be go to the ER, go to the urgent care, whatever, go get an x-ray, go get all that stuff. You said, go grab my magnet.
Yeah.
What, like, why, what's the difference there? Like, why would you tell me why you did that versus going to, I mean, I know, but you did, what's the benefit there versus just going down the road of Western medicine?
Well, I only really went to the urgent care because my boyfriend insisted on me going a few days later, right? But because therapy grade magnets oxygenate your blood, and that heals, they help speed up healing, and they can reduce inflammation. So they work far more than any kind of ice pack could. They work much better than any kind of steroid shot could, but they help you heal. So it's not just a Band-Aid, right? It's helping your tissues through rapid healing by allowing for minerals to flow through your blood, oxygen to flow quicker. So they speed up any kind of wound healing, whether it's a broken bone, whether it's a ligament, whether it's a tendon, whether it's a muscle. They just really do. And that was a pretty powerful magnet. So it really, it could penetrate pretty deep. Yeah.
That's awesome. So why biomagnetism? What challenges were you, and you, I mean, obviously there was some challenges stepping outside the conventional medicine model, right? Like why did you, because that's a lot of trouble. Like, you go from conventional medicine to non-conventional medicine. Like, that's a big deal. Why biomagnetism?
Yeah, I used to run a department at a major hospital, a teaching hospital in Miami, and for 10 years. And I had worked within the conventional medicine realm for, about 30 years. So I saw the ins and outs. I had, connections with really good doctors and others who were really much into the business side of medicine. And the really good doctors always treated the patient like they were the smartest person on the team. And they would not run to medicating, but they would look at, how can we do this with doing the least possible harm? So some of them would even turn to the natural side, right? We had a nurse practitioner who was a holistic practitioner. And so when I would go to the doctors, who are pediatricians, for questions around my kids or during my pregnancy, they would always refer me back to, go to Anita. She's holistic. She can help you with that. And so she was the smartest person on the team. They respected her the most. And that was always surprising to me at the time because I didn't know that much. So when I learned about biomagnetism for the very first time, I was having a conversation with my sister, and I was asking her about an aunt that I hadn't talked to in a while who had been suffering from lupus for about 25 years. And her lupus was progressively worse. So she was being hospitalized more. She had more inflammation, more organ issues going on. And my sister shockingly said to me, she's like, "Oh, you haven't heard? She doesn't have lupus anymore." And of course, in my mind, lupus was an incurable condition, right? That's what conventional medicine tells us.
Sure.
And so I rolled my eyes. I thought my sister was like losing her mind. And then she said to me, she's like, in the next sentence, she said, "Yeah, and I found a practitioner who does biomagnetism that apparently was what my aunt had tried and then got cleared from her doctors from having lupus. So she no longer carried the diagnosis." And then she said she found a practitioner in Los Angeles and the arthritis in her hands was gone after 3 sessions. And because I had seen my sister suffer with pain since she was 19 and see her fingers start to become distorted and inflamed,
Yeah.
her saying that she was cured of the arthritis was shocking but believable for me, more than the lupus story. But after I talked to my aunt confirmed that she had been released by her doctors. I realized, you know what? I need to find me a practitioner and see what this is all about, because I had a really bad tendonitis. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't carry half a gallon of milk. I mean, I was in pain all the time for a good year and a half. And I knew if I got steroid shots, they were Band-Aids.
Right.
They were going to tell me why. And I hadn't had an injury, so it just started showing up. And so I did. I found a practitioner who lived 4 hours away. He was willing to come to my neck of the woods if I gathered enough people. So I had him see, the boyfriend, my children, even my ex-husband got a treatment, and all of our symptoms improved. He came back a month later and the tendonitis was 100% gone. 3 months later, having done nothing different, I realized I'm having regular milk with my coffee. I'm having sour cream and I'm not bloating. And my lactose intolerance had completely disappeared. And then I turned to my the lady that helped me in the house. He had done like a little mini session on her because she had migraines ever since she had her first menstrual cycle. So she had been having monthly migraines for many years. And so I turned to her when I realized the lactose intolerance was gone. And I said to her, I said, "Hey, whatever happened to your migraines?" And she looked at me and she's like, "I haven't had one since that man put those stones on me." And at that moment, I realized that not only had he treated my tendonitis, but there was something bigger that had happened. And that the reach of biomagnetism was more than just eliminating pain. I didn't understand it, but from what I saw with my children, my ex-husband, the boyfriend, her, we had all seen shifts.
Wow.
So
That's
definitely.
You can't deny that, right? Like that's you can't look at it and go, "Oh, it doesn't." Empirical evidence, like even if it's not in a medical journal somewhere, like empirical evidence is everything. Like I've got instances like that for me too over the last 10, 12 years, and 4 brain surgeries and all the crazy side effects that came out of all of that. And there's stuff that worked to get rid of side effects and symptoms for me that like doctors don't have a clue what to do with me either. So empirical evidence is king sometimes, So man, I love this stuff. I want to pause for just a second. We'll see you again in just a second, Guy. I'm so excited to hear the rest of your story, and I want to share your book with everybody. We're going to put that on the screen here in a minute. We're going to dive in with earth-based medicine and how that's helping people, and we're gonna do all that in just a second. So we'll see you in just a second. Gaia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in just a second. Everybody, I gotta tell you about this. There is oops, that's not what button pusher is not working today. There we go. That's what I meant to do. Right there we go. All right, there we go. Welcome to live TV, everybody. Okay, So this is what I wanted to put up there. All right. So listen, if you've been watching for a while, you know what I've been through. You know that I've been through all these brain surgeries and all this crazy side effects and all this nuts, all this stuff, right? And if I've been through it, so has my family. So real quick, I just want to share something that I stumbled on that's been absolutely fascinating to me. You guys know I'm always looking for simple, natural ways to support my health without doing anything crazy extreme. In fact, I've got a download that's literally says Jeff's top 7 list of things to help you avoid the ER. Right? Like, I am not a fan of just running to the hospital every time you have something hurt. So I found this company called Healthy Home, and they've got some really cool, really thoughtful wellness resources, stuff that supports your body's ability to actually do what it already knows how to do, because you've got cells in your body already that are ready to get to work, right? To repair, to balance hormones, to improve circulation, to improve your skin, improve your joints, all the things. Like, we have, in fact, we just had a guest, a couple on the show, Giselle and her husband, that talked about this very method. It was fascinating. That's part of the reason I'm so enthralled with this. I've been digging into it a little bit and learning how it works. And honestly, it just makes sense to me. Nothing crazy, just supporting what the body already wants to do. If you have even been a little curious about something outside the regular realm of things, which seems to be a growing trend right now, is people are not like just running to Western medicine for everything right now. They're like, what else is out there? Be happy to share this with you. Just call the number on the screen or scan the QR code. Check it out. No pressure. Just something cool I wanted to share with you. Those of you who care about health, like I do, and want to get to the bottom of it naturally. So just wanted to throw that out there. And also, we're gonna talk about this later, but this is my nonprofit. The nonprofit side of Invisible Conditions, called Hydro with Hope, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But I just wanted to, in case you all know what that is from watching the previous shows, you can scan the QR code if you'd like to donate. So, all right, let's bring Gaya back on here, and let's talk about her book, man. I'm excited to talk about your book because it's really cool, and I'm sure. Like, how long did it take you to come up with this? Like, this book is like, I love the title, by the way, Beyond the White Coat, because, by the way, everybody, if you have a doctor that you're working with and they're telling you things that you don't like, or you've never heard, or is against what you want to do, he's not God. You can get a second opinion. You can move on to something else. You can, like, they don't have to follow his advice verbatim, right? The doctors they're only practicing medicine sometimes, So Beyond the White Coat, what inspired you to write the book, and what can people find inside there?
Well, I knew I wanted to write. I love writing, actually.
Nice.
I've been writing, but not books. I've been writing for others a long time.
Yeah.
I always knew that I wanted to write. And as I went through this exploration of how these different natural medicines and ancient medicines were creating shifts throughout my life, they would show up and they could do what other things couldn't do. I wanted other people to know that there's alternatives that are non-toxic and that can truly resolve issues for us, even when we think that nothing can, right? That we're stuck with a condition, that, oh, it's just age, or, oh, this is just my genetics. And there's so many people out there who believe that they're really stuck with certain symptoms or conditions. And some of them are even married to them. It's like, but most people don't. Most people want relief. Most people want to heal. Most people want to be able to get their life back and feel good and age gracefully and be able to not have pain. And so I wanted to put that in the book, along with helping people understand this wonderful medicine that's biomagnetism, because it's a medicine, Magnets have been used for 5,000 years in recorded history that we're aware of. And so if every continent on the planet has used magnets therapeutically, but most people don't know that, then there's an opportunity to share that information with people, because these are simple tools. They're earth minerals, and we can use them just like we have them. And they use, they allow cell phones to connect to cell towers. They allow for this communication on computers. Magnets are used in so much technology to allow for, what we understand as quantum physics, that over time and space we could see each other in real time. Then magnets can be used therapeutically too to help us heal. And so it's about bringing that to the table, and also giving people an insight into, well, what is fibromyalgia? Why do people develop fibromyalgia? Western medicine says we don't know, but it's an immune condition. Your immune system is attacking itself. Well, hogwash.
What? No.
Hogwash.
Right.
Immune conditions are not that your immune system is attacking itself. What happens in so many of these conditions is that there are germs and chemicals, and certainly, trapped emotions, that are creating an environment within your body that are affecting your body's ability to effectively operate. But when you clean those roots out, you recover your health. And so there's a lot of this discrepancies in being able to give people the right intel, if you will, about what's creating a condition to begin with. And so when you understand what can create a cancer, what can create an immune disorder, why is my thyroid dysfunctioning? Why do I have pain? Is it just age? Most people think, oh, well, I moved the wrong way, or, I injured myself. And so your body's not able to repair itself. There's something impeding that reparation.
Mm-hmm.
How we can do that, whether it's through herbs, or through homeopathy, or through acupuncture, or through biomagnetism, or other methods, the book has that in it. So it's a what's behind certain conditions, and what can you do to self-treat. And that's basically what it's about.
I love it, because the self-treating thing is what I heard that. I was like, hey, all right. Because, I don't care what country you're in, but in the United States, going somewhere for somebody else to treat you is expensive. And so if you can treat yourself, that's better, always better, especially if it works, if it's effective, right? That's fantastic. So what are some of the in simple terms, how do magnets within quantum fields, how does it do, we've talked about the method, but how does it actually, can you explain kind of how it works? Is it still kind of, seems kind of out there. Yeah.
Well, magnets in essence have a negative electric charge and a positive electric charge, right? And so they inform our own electric charges. Everything that makes up the human body, in fact, everything that makes up the universe, are electric charges: positive, negative, and neutral. We know these as protons, neutrons, and electrons. So everything that exists are these three charges. Healthy cells have an equal number of positive to negative charges. So in other words, they're in harmony. It's like a yin-yang state, right? But whenever there's stress, or there's chemicals, or there's germs, or there's just, trapped emotions, right? Then that balance of positive to negative changes. And what magnets do, they kind of function like, when you want to jumpstart a car, you use the positive, the red, and the black, and you jumpstart the battery of a car, and you get it to go again. Mm-hmm. Well, magnets do that too, but they go further. They really help our cells restore back to their normal state, multiply that by an organ, by a tissue, by your spine, by, two legs that are not the same size, getting your body's two sides back to their normal state, right? Helping to reduce the inflammation, or a mass, helping to disappear masses. Depending on the polarity that you use, it will have a different effect on the body.
So how does that work if somebody is already, say somebody has a condition that they've been told requires medication. So they're taking a medication, they're taking a pharmaceutical, or even just supplements, or, but especially a pharmaceutical drug. How does the Can that correct? Can it correct something to the point that somebody would be able to get off that medication?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Absolutely.
see people with
Okay.
thyroid disorders who've been on thyroid medications, and according to conventional medicine, once you're on thyroid meds, you got to take them for life. That's the pitch.
Right.
That's the marketing pitch.
Right.
Right. That's
Yeah.
why? Because I've seen people clean out their system, take enzymes, good enzymes, and be able to get off thyroid medications. Why? Because usually what's triggering the thyroid to shift in its numbers and its counts and its function usually goes deeper than that. Usually, from my experience, there's something going on in the pancreas, and the pancreas is in charge of producing enzymes. Enzymes communicate to the entire endocrine system. So your adrenals, your ovaries and testes, your pineal and pituitary, your thyroid, and all the other glands in the body. And so when the pancreas doesn't produce as many of these enzymes because of chemicals, because of heavy metals, because of germs that are disrupting its normal function, then that conversation and regulation doesn't happen effectively. And so the thyroid's very sensitive, so it throws off the thyroid. So here they give people a medication to mask numbers and counts, when in reality, we should be cleaning out our pancreas, taking enzymes because the body's not doing it effectively, and that will regulate the endocrine system. It'll move out toxins, and it'll help the body assimilate and convert nutrients into energy. So it's not that complicated.
No, they want to think people think it's complicated because the medical system makes it sound complicated. But yeah. So one other question that I have is, from what I've heard over the years from different people that I've learned from is and there's a different time frame that different people assign to this, but every cell in your body is replaced over certain amounts of time, right? Like you have a brand new digestive tract in like less than a month, right? Your taste buds are brand new after like 30 days or 40 days or something. And there's certain, right? Like every cell in your body eventually over, some people say it's a year, some people say it's 5, 7, whatever, but your cells are constantly regenerating and so my question is, first of all, why do people have these conditions that are lasting this long? If that's true, and we have brand new cells all the time, what is it? Because we keep re-injuring ourselves, re-traumatizing those cells, redoing, like, are we re-injuring ourselves all the time in that way? Or like, why is that?
The thing is that over time, our body accumulates germs, and the environment that we provide our body, the way we eat, the amount of stress we have in a stressful home, if we have a stressful job, that alters the environment within the cells. And so if you have a lot of stressed out cells, they're replicating stressed out cells.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot of chemicals accumulated in your system, you're creating a very acidic environment. So people who've had chemotherapy and radiation therapy, they by nature have a very acidic environment in their body. And so cells are trying to survive within a highly toxic state in areas where we shouldn't be acidic. Our bones shouldn't be acidic. Our heart shouldn't be acidic. There's certain organs and tissues within the body that should be either more on the neutral or slightly alkaline side, whereas something like the stomach should be acidic.
Yes.
Right? And so if it doesn't have the right environment, then even if you're reproducing cells, these cells are surviving within a toxic state. So it's removing the toxic state, changing the toxicity so that as these cells replenish, oh my God, they're in a new environment. And now we're in good shape. I've worked with people who are gangrenous. Their blood quality is so poor that if they have an injury, they can't self-heal. And then they start losing limbs and digits, right? And yet by cleaning their body, they can avoid having to lose another digit. And now their body's repairing, and now it's healing, and now they're not in pain. And it's a wonderful thing when we can clean up our system. We clean up our house. We got to clean up our house.
Right. Well, and yes, exactly. And also so when you do this, right, with traditional, or I say traditional, I should stop. I got to stop using that word. Conventional medicine. There we go. It's like it's like you got to keep coming back, right? And keep getting that medication refill and keep taking it and it's like there's nothing sustainable. It's like you're covering up, you're masking symptoms, and you're having to keep taking this medication. But for what you're doing, it sounds like this is more sustainable. It sounds like you're able to, help somebody actually sustain this over their lifetime so that they don't have to worry about it coming back or worry about having to take a medication.
Well, the truth is, when I see clients who are taking medications, the first thing I do is I look at, okay, what are the side effects? And then I look at what their symptoms are and what's coming up for them in their conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look, oh, okay, they have this going on, they have this going on. And then I start looking at the side effects, and then I read them to them. And I'm like, okay, these are the side effects. And they're like, oh my God, I have all of that. So a lot of what medications are masking, then they're then creating other conditions. And so over time, they're then given more medications to mask conditions, right? Like an antacid. An antacid has aluminum. Aluminum affects your brain, it affects your memory, it affects your nervous system. Next thing you know, you're having panic attacks, anxiety, insomnia, jitters, right? Pancreatitis, all kinds of gut issues. And so you're giving someone something for acid. Usually what's causing the acid are parasites. And then you're expecting them to get better when you're pouring aluminum in their body. And then what do? Oh, now we're going to give you a medication for your memory. Oh, now you have Parkinson's. Let's give you something for the jitters. And so it becomes this snowball effect. And so undoing that and unraveling it is what biomagnetism has the capacity to do. And many natural medicines have the capacity to do, right? And so it is an anti-ager for your cells. So you rejuvenate, you stay younger longer, you live symptom-free. That doesn't mean that, if somebody sneezes in my face, I'm not going to get a cold down the line, but my body's going to be so much more prepared to handle this cold because it doesn't have a lifetime of germs and chemicals in its system because I've cleared that stuff out. So it is sustainable over time. The symptoms don't come back because we're not working on symptoms. We're working on root causes.
Yeah. Love that. No, that's great because my brain is exploding a little bit because it's so different. It's like I am in that world. I believe what you're saying. I'm totally on board because there's been things over the last 10, 12 years and 4 brain surgeries that we've been dealing with that through things like this, we've been able to get rid of. That somebody that I've been told, in fact, one of the doctors that I had back in 2014, who will remain nameless to protect the innocent, literally told me after I told him that I was having constant, nonstop, 24/7 migraine headaches, that I was just going to have to live with headaches, And I'm sure if I had asked him for pharmaceutical medication to tamp down the pain of those migraines, he would have given me one. But I didn't want one. I didn't want to take a medication because of side effects, right? And so, but that's what I was told. Those headaches are going to be there forever. I guess you're just going to have to live with them, And so, I love that you have another option. You're showing people other options.
My little one, she was, I think, 3 or 4 when she started having migraines, and the pediatrician said, he was a new pediatrician, and he said, "Oh, kids her age don't get migraines."
What?
But she had migraines, and she would have to sleep them off, vomit, and she would feel relief the next day. But she would have migraines 3 times a week at least, was missing a lot of school. And it wasn't until biomagnetism came into the picture and homeopathy, right? So we wouldn't use painkillers, we would use homeopathic remedies to help when she would have one, and she doesn't have migraines anymore.
Right.
And
I don't either. Yeah. Because of something called neurofeedback, which is very much non-medical. It's a very, very homeopathic method, and it's fantastic. I think it was within a month of going there, they were gone. I don't know how long. I don't know how fast it was for your daughter, but it was unimaginably fast for me. I couldn't believe they were gone and fast. So, how long did it take for her to get relief?
She had a virus in her lobes. And so in learning that germs move, because the virus that was in the occipital lobes could also go and hide in her feet, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so in clearing it in both areas, then her migraine started to completely subside. And she hasn't had a migraine. I don't know how many years it's been. She had them in middle school. She stopped having them in high school. So it took a little bit, but it also took that we knew there were certain triggers for a time, sugars, because viruses like an acidic environment. And so if you feed it sugar or you feed it a lot of carbs, then it could trigger. So they started slowing down, and then they disappeared altogether.
That's amazing.
A little bit with her. Clients that in 1 or 2 sessions, they don't have migraines anymore. With her in particular, it took a little longer.
Yeah. For me, I think when I went to do the neurofeedback, I think it took me 4, maybe 5 sessions is what it was. So sometimes it's some longer than others, but I don't care. It worked. The empirical evidence is there, man. You can say whatever you want in the medical community, but it works.
100%.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. I need to pause for just a second and just talk about our nonprofit partner just for a second. So I'll see you in just a second. Thank you so much for being here, Gaya. We'll be right back with you in just a second. Now, listen, I told you at the beginning of the show that I would be talking about this, and I just want to throw this out there. For those of you that know somebody with hydrocephalus, which you probably do, I'm not going to lie. I was born with hydrocephalus. I have had 7 brain surgeries and 8 other related surgeries because of this crazy thing called hydrocephalus. It affects so many children and adults. You probably, if you have 700 or 800 Facebook friends or more, you probably have one of them or 2 of them that have hydrocephalus. So I want you to know about what we're doing. And hydrowithhope.com is our website. Go there and check it out. hydrowithhope.com. It's right there. Hydrowithhope.com. If you want to donate, go to this QR code right here. We would appreciate any and all donation. You can do a one-time donation. You can do a recurring donation. And also, if you know somebody with hydrocephalus, we want to get them this book. This is a fill-in-the-blank journal that walks people through that process of, holy smokes, I got to have what kind of surgery again? And all the ins and outs of brain surgery and dealing with the medical appointments and dealing with all the stuff. This journal's got it all. It walks you through the whole thing. And then you can take that with you to your next appointment. And you don't have to, you're not guessing. You're not like wondering what you forgot that you wanted to ask the doctor. It's all written down in your journal. And so please go there, check it out, consider donating. We appreciate it. Thank you in advance. We love you. We're appreciated. Appreciate you. And all right, let's bring Gaya back on here and keep going here. This is awesome. I'm so excited about this. This is so cool because I love stories like this. Over the last year or 2 on this show, we have gone this direction more, and it's so cool because I get to talk to amazing people like you that are doing things different, right? That's the idea, is to do it different. And you are doing things so different. Have you had any like backlash from anybody in the medical community? Like, are you good? Like with do they don't care what you're doing? They probably don't think it's real.
No, I mean, actually, I've had clients whose doctors have said, "Hey, yeah, I heard about that. It's pretty. Yeah, I've heard magnets can help, And so most of my clients, I think only 2 in the last 15 years, had a doctor that said, "Oh, don't. There's nothing to that. Don't do that." So the vast majority of doctors have supported it.
Good. That's actually pleasantly surprising. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Was that surprising to you? That's surprising to me.
Well, the thing is that, if you think about it, MRIs use magnets. There's magnets in hearing devices. There's magnets in pacemakers. There's a lot of equipment, medical equipment, that uses magnets. And so I think the medical community is aware that magnetism influences our health in one way or another. And so, yeah, I haven't had backlash. I see doctors, I see psychologists, I see psychiatrists, I see.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Now that you say that, so over the over the years, two out of the four shunts that I've had over the last that have been replaced over the last 10 or 12 years had magnets in them, which is what allowed them to adjust the pressure setting on the shunt to allow more or less cerebral spinal fluid to flow through and stuff. So but it was controlled by a magnet, and they would put a little device on there, and adjust it or whatever it was through a magnet. So yeah, I hadn't even thought, man. I hadn't thought about that in years. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Magnets everywhere. Yeah. That's why they put that big giant 400-pound lead thing on you when you do right at the dentist or when you're getting the x-ray and stuff, right? Because they don't want you to get affected by it, I guess. I don't know.
Definitely MRIs. I don't think x-rays use them, but definitely MRIs use them. Yeah.
MRIs. Oh boy. All right. Well, I don't even want to think about how many of those I've had. Let's not talk about it. MRIs, man. Those are great. So let's dive in. We got about 6 or 7 minutes left of the show. And so are there like some success stories that stand out that you're like, oh my gosh, this story is amazing, or this patient was really cool, that you want to share?
Yeah. I mean, there's
too many, I'm sure.
But there's some that are just like, they were jaw dropping, because I had this one woman, she was very tall, but you wouldn't know it because she came in hunched. She came in fully bent over at the waist, and she had a big old hump on her back, and she had to turn her head around to look up at me. And I'm not very tall. I'm about 5'4", so I'm not very tall. And she could barely walk because she had no cartilage in her knees. She was scheduled within, I think, a month and a half for surgery, or 2 months for surgery. And she wanted to see if biomagnetism could help improve her surgical, experience, that if we could help repair some, that maybe it wouldn't be so intensive.
Yeah.
So when she walks in the first time, she had a really hard time laying down. She was cramping up. She was in pain. She would kind of yell out from the pain. Really kind of heart-wrenching to see. But we were able to get through the session. And really, she was just in pain because she was laying down. And so the second time she came in, she didn't need my assistance to walk in. She was slightly less hunched, but it was the third time she came in. She was fully standing up. I looked up at her. She was no longer bent over. She still had a little bit of a hump in her back. And I said, do you need my help? And she's like, no, I don't need your help. And she walked down a step on her own. She's like, I need you to see this. And so she showed me her MRI results from before the sessions, when they first assessed that she needed surgery. And sure enough, there was bone to bone. And then she showed me the more recent results, the scans that they had done, because they were prepping her for surgery. And so she had produced cartilage. So she wasn't in pain walking. She couldn't walk 3 miles, but she wasn't in pain going down a step. She wasn't in pain walking to her car. She wasn't bent over anymore. She was fully standing, this tall woman. And she was able to go through the session. She actually fell asleep. Yeah. And so to me, that was just like, how in such a short period of time, that's a game changer for someone.
That's amazing. When you're saving people from surgery, that's cool.
Well, and socially, like, what does that look like for her to be bent, not being able to stand up, having to walk through a supermarket that way? I mean, how do you function, when you're in so much pain and your body's contorted in a sense? So that's definitely one of the ones that kind of stands out. There was this one gentleman who the doctor said he had less than a month to live. He was skin and bones. He was in a wheelchair. He had sores all around his back from constantly laying down. He couldn't sleep completely flat. He had to sleep at an incline because he would choke on his saliva. He was completely paralyzed. He had no control over his neck. So he, had his head hanging. And a holistic practitioner said, listen, we've all worked on him, but, they don't have much hope for him. They're saying that he doesn't have but even maybe a month. He might not survive the month. Would you mind working on him? And I said, sure, if he wants to work with me, I'll work with him, and I'll give him a really good discount, because the energy exchange has to be there, right? I would have done it for free, but it's like you have to have skin in the games in your healing.
Yep.
And so he signed up for 5 sessions. The first session, from the first to the third session, he went from not being able to swallow to holding up his neck to being able to eat pureed food.
Nice.
To swallow, the sores on his back had disappeared. He wasn't in pain anymore. By the 5th session, he was moving hands and feet. He was making plans to move out of his parents' house, and so it shifted from being helpless and hopeless to him creating jewelry so that he could continue to pay for more sessions, because we did an exchange. He would make jewelry for me. And he was able to manipulate things with his hands because he was started to regain movement in his body.
Wow.
That was, and he gained weight, and he developed muscle mass, and he developed, I won't say he got fat. He wasn't a big person, but he had meat again on his bones.
Nice. Wow.
So, and that was just in a period of 5 initial sessions.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's amazing. I love that kind of stuff. That almost seems unbelievable, but that's incredible. Man. Well, I tell you what, I wish we had more. I wish we had more time for 10 more stories, but we're out of time. But if you out there watching would like to hear more stories, or you would like to get in touch with Gaya, obviously scan that QR code. If you haven't already, you should have done it half an hour ago. But if you haven't done it yet, scan the QR code so you can get in touch with her and meet with her and hear more about the amazing things she's doing, and maybe she can help you or somebody you love. So, or get her book, right? Get the book, and you can go that route and then meet with her. So, Gaya, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your willingness to help people, and your amazing, like, just what you're doing is just incredible. It's pretty awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you to the viewers as well.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. All right, everybody. Holy cow. See, I'm telling you, never ceases to amaze me. I learn something new every time. I'm telling you, I know I say that all the time, but it's true. It's true. It's true. Oh man. All right, everybody, listen, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of our amazing audience. If this is your first episode, welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you've been watching since the beginning, man, thank you. We are so glad you're here. If you're watching through Facebook or YouTube, or if you're on E360 and you like to watch it on your TV in your living room, and however you're watching, man, we're so glad you're here. Like, subscribe, follow, share, all the things. If this is your new favorite episode, share it on your social media. It's probably somebody else's too. They just don't know it yet because they haven't seen it, because you haven't shared it with them. So thank you so much. And join us for our next show, which is going to be Friday, February 13th. And that's going to be a great show. I can't wait for you to meet this guest. It's going to be awesome. So thank you so much for being here. See you on Friday, February 13th. And until then, have an amazing day. We'll see you soon.